So, how did voodoo come to know? After the delusion of horses, known to left the slaves were launched to rapid fashions. Slaves were permitted to die.
Also removed the ban on West Indies slaves. Around the same time, a slave revolt occurred in Santo Domingo, what is now Haiti. Between the lifting of the ban and the Haitian revolt, West Indies slaves began pouring into New Orleans. Some of them were free people of color, freed or escaped slaves. Some came with their white owners who were fleeing from the revolt.
That makes sense.
What happened when the West Indies slaves got here?
They brought voodoo with them. The native slaves were more than enthusiastic about embracing it. It gave them power, Mr. Knight, if only in the form of a communal bond. Among the first meeting places were the Bayou Saint John and the shore of Lake Pontchartrain.
We found something
The
there.
early voodoos were heavy snake worshippers,
We found a snake
worshipping
scale.
what they called the Great Zombie.
Not zombie as in brains, but you know.
Tell me more about historical voodoo.
By 1817, the voodoo activities were beginning to cause fear among the white slave owners.
It would.
An ordinance was passed to forbid slave gatherings except in designated public areas at designated times. The time was Sunday afternoons and the place, Congo Square. The slaves and free people of color gathered to dance simulations of their voodoo dances right in sight of Creole society.
Interesting.
Of course, they also continued to meet in private for the real thing.
Oh? What was the real thing? Tell us
Tell
more.
me more about historical voodoo.
There were a variety of kings and queens at first, voodoo priests and priestesses. But from about 1830, a single power emerged.
Marie Laveau.
This was a voodoo queen named Marie Laveau. Marie Laveau ruled
Did a paper on
voodoo
her
in New
once.
Orleans for many years.
Well, tell us about Marie
Tell me
Laveau.
more about Marie Laveau.
There were actually two Marie Laveaus, mother and daughter. Most people thought they were the same woman. Her continued youth added to the mystique.
Hey, whatever
The
works.
original, the mother, was also known as Widow Paris. It was she that began the empire.
Why Widow Paris?
When the Widow Paris began to practice, there were many voodooans in the city. By 1830, she was voodoo queen of all New Orleans.
Oh? Tell me more.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
The Widow Paris was a hairdresser for rich Creole ladies.
Interesting.
She also paid household servants to spy for her.
Ah.
Between the two, she knew everything about everyone who mattered in New Orleans.
Knowledge is power.
She was not above using her information to appear psychic, to intimidate, or even to blackmail.
You sound as though you admire her.
I admire her
For a
too.
black woman in the mid-1800s to gain power is an incredible thing, Mr. Knight. However she achieved it.
Good point. Anything else about
Tell
Marie?
me more about Marie Laveau.
She kept a pet snake,
Oh?
danced with it too. She held traditional voodoo ceremonies out by the lake. She took herself seriously, very seriously. But she was not above selling tickets for her events to curiosity seekers.
Yeah, a buck's
She
a
was
buck.
not above using voodoo any way she could to make money. That is for certain.
I don't blame her either.
If she had been in another line of work, in another age, that would have been interpreted as entrepreneurial genius rather than a sign of fraudulence.
Yeah, I don't.
Hey, you don't need to convince me. I admire anyone that can actually make a living.
Anything about Marie?
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
It was Marie Laveau who defined the voodoo that is truly and uniquely the voodoo of New Orleans.
Really?
She invented hundreds, if not thousands of spells, potions, charms, and incantations.
Interesting.
These form the basis of the modern practice, not to mention the folk tradition of voodoo.
Well, anything else about Marie?
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
Her daughter, Marie Glapion, took over when the widow Paris got old. Most people thought it was the same Marie Laveau. Both Maries encourage that point of view.
Yeah, it's a good point
The
to
widow
do.
Paris died in 1881. Marie Glapion had been reigning a long time by then. After the death of the widow Paris, other voodoo queens surfaced, and by 1890, the cult was fragmented again. Marie Glapion just sort of faded away.
Couldn't hold the power like her mom did. Anything about Marie?
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
The Laveau tomb, where one or both of the Maries are believed to be buried, is in St. Louis Cemetery number 1.
We saw it.
It is a popular shrine for practitioners and tourists alike. I myself take tours through the cemetery on a regular basis.
Sure you do.
Really? Do you have any running this week?
No, but the cemetery is open to the general public as well.
We'll go check it out as well.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
You have heard everything about
Oh, sorry, I clicked through that. Current voodoo.
Tell me about current voodoo.
Many people think of voodoo in terms of magic spells or greenery. That kind of practice is actually called voodoo, and is only a part of true voodoo. Voodoo,
You guys taking
the
notes? Will be a
religion,
test
has
later.
a strong following in New Orleans.
You think I'm kidding?
In fact, it is growing.
I am kidding.
There are several voodoo churches or temples in the city, and others all across the United States.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Americans see it as a tradition all their own. Whites, and there are many in their religion, are attracted to it because they think it is exotic.
Yeah, we tend
I,
to do that.
personally, am more interested in the history of voodoo. Some of the new movements are copying Haitian or even African voodoo. But it is the voodoo of New Orleans that I find so intriguing.
As a historian, I can agree with you. Anything else about
Tell me
current?
more about current voodoo.
There are many voodooians in New Orleans. They often do the business selling grigri, telling fortunes, providing luck, and occasionally misfortune.
Yeah,
Perhaps
this
you would like to meet a voodooian.
I would.
We refer those who seek a deeper experience with voodoo to a local practitioner, Magentia Moonbeam.
Sure, I'd love to meet him.
Because I want to trust someone
She
with the last
lives on
name
the corner
Moonbeam.
of Orleans and Dauphine. I will call her and tell her you might stop by.
Thanks.
Great, thanks.
Tell me about hoodoo.
Is there anything else I should know about voodoo?
That you do?
Not if your interest is primarily in voodoo.
Point.
Voodoo is of interest to those who study rural folk traditions, but it will not aid you in understanding true voodoo.
Keep that in mind.
Do you have any idea what Caprice en Gaul means?
I fear my French is not all it should be, Mr. Knight.
Okay. Tell me about snakes.
Do you know anything about snakes?
You have perhaps noticed the museum's snake, Mr. Knight.
I did.
They are beautiful creatures, do you not agree? And the
They are
tourists seem to
beautiful.
associate them with voodoo.
Anything else about snakes?
Is the snake yours? Do you use it in your practice of voodoo?
I admire the spirit of this snake, Mr. Knight, but snakes like the museums can be quite dangerous to handle.
I can
You
imagine.
didn't really answer my question.
I think I did, Mr. Knight.
In other words, he doesn't handle it. Or if he does, he's very careful about it. Voodoo murders.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
the killings in the newspaper. I know that they have nothing to do with true voodoo in New Orleans.
Really? Well, if you say so. Well, I think we've taken up enough of this nice man's time. Bye, Dr. John. And, well, we're about out of time, so see you guys in a moment.